So Lorenzo Dibonaventura is in the news again, talking about new G.I. Joe films.
No! God, please, no! No!
That's what I thought too. Let's take a look at the article. Okay, so here's the article from Collider. It says it's an exclusive to them. G.I. Joe producer says they're working on the next movie. Transformers Rise of the Beast producer Lorenzo Dibonaventura discusses the G.I. Joe franchise. As the Transformers franchise has transformed itself into a blockbuster giant, yeah, because giant robots, right? Translates to all of these cultures across the world. One of its Saturday morning cartoon contemporaries has deeply struggled to find the same success. G.I. Joe. Well, we all know why G.I. Joe struggled to find success. Dibonaventura. The future of the classic action figure turned animated favorite is still awaiting its next move after a slew of big screen failures, culminating in a reboot with 2021 Snake Eyes. Was Retaliation really a failure? Retaliation made about $400 million. I don't know. I guess that depends on who calls what a failure. Speaking to Collider's Steve Weintraub, producer Lorenzo Dibonaventura said that despite the struggles, conversations are going on behind the scenes to bring the real American hero back to theaters, and real American heroes in quotes. Snake Eyes was meant to launch a new era of G.I. Joe films with the much delayed G.I. Joe Ever Vigilant, that would have been G.I. Joe 3 after Retaliation, moved back to make room for the reboot. However, with the struggles of the spinoff and Ever Vigilant still up in the air, there's room to wonder whether the franchise would be better suited for a return to television. Depending on how you want to, make that look. Back in 2021, Hasbro and Paramount even had a series in the works centered on Lady J that would link back to the larger world established in the film. So we knew that was in the works and that it's no longer in the works. If you want to make a G.I. Joe TV show, just look at the unit. The unit is a perfect example of how you could make a fantastic G.I. Joe TV show. A lot of us have been saying this forever. Depending on the operating environment you go to, you bring in different characters. Let's say you go somewhere where it's snowing, you bring in Snow Job. You go somewhere in the jungle, you bring in Recondo, on and on. As Dibonaventura notes, however, that never came to fruition. For now, it seems Paramount is foregoing the two-pronged approach and is instead focusing on bringing G.I. Joe back in some form, using what was written for their pilot to inform a future film. So basically, that's a Hollywood producer speak for our Lady J TV show didn't pan out, so we're going to use that story and we're going to make a movie with it. Whatever. Dibonaventura is quoted as saying, "We actually developed a pilot with Amazon. This was before Paramount Plus. It didn't pan out. We are in a lot of conversations about what to do with it as a film. And so I would have to say, most likely you're going to see that come to fruition." Yeah, exactly. How soon is always impossible to say. For a long time, there were no active conversations. There's a lot going on right now. G.I. Joe's theatrical reputation is far from stellar. Yeah, it is. Because of you. Whatever the plans are for a G.I. Joe film, it'll have a difficult time swaying audiences considering every previous attempt has fallen flat. 2009's G.I. Joe Rise of Cobra has been a frequent target for criticism ever since its release, earning the ire of not just fans and critics, but also the film's stars. Channing Tatum, who was only in the film out of contractual obligations, spoke out about how much he detested the films despite his love for the G.I. Joe brand as a whole. even begging to be killed off early on in G.I. Joe Retaliation. Well, that's because Channing Tatum understood that that character he was playing was not First Sergeant Duke Hauser. He understood that that was not G.I. Joe at its core. So at least somebody spoke out about it. The sequel 2 was largely panned, even if the addition of Dwayne Johnson helped it fare better than its predecessor. The poor effects of a bad reputation showed in Snake Eyes, which reportedly lost Paramount money after grossing just over $40 million against an $88 million budget, not to mention hefty international marketing costs. The only reason Snake Eyes bombed is because that wasn't Snake Eyes. That movie, it wasn't Snake Eyes, it wasn't G.I. Joe. That movie was just crap. It was an all-around dumpster fire. I wouldn't have even called that thing an American Ninja in Tokyo. It was no good. It had Batman and Robin quality writing. Is there a safe in the cabin? Because I heard you on the phone say that you were at the safe house. It was a joke. Anyway, so that's pretty much all the article has to say. It's not hard to make compelling G.I. Joe stories with live action, be it television, be it a movie. It's not that hard. I'm sure there's a lot of people who could take that on and make it work. Paramount has put out Top Gun Maverick, has put out all of the Mission Impossible movies, and all of those do well. They do really well. The one thing that those movies don't have that G.I. Joe has and fails with is Dibonaventura. Get good writers, get good producers, get people who understand the material. You don't have to love it. Look at Star Trek II Wrath of Khan. You don't have to be a lover of G.I. Joe to just kind of understand what it is at its core that's made it popular for so long. Just get better people on your projects. You're going to have the same results. Here we go again. I hope you liked this video. Leave a comment below. Let's talk some Joe and have an awesome day. The sequel 2 was largely panned, even if the